Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to the Tuesday Rally.
The Tuesday rally. Well, I don't know if you call it a rally, but we are up 2 points here this morning. We have been as low as 1630, so we were down about six. Overnight, though, we have come back and we are trading 1638, perilously close to where we made our original bet here again, Joel. 1640 seems to be the number.
I've been shorting the market every Tuesday since it's was 10 times, so I'm turning around and just going blazing all longs today. So, no, 1640 is a level that we talked about regarding our wager. Kind of made a basic trading mistake yesterday when we came down to the 16 level. We had talked about the early weakness, the market in the morning. It had that weakness. It came down to the triple bottom at 1620. I balked and said, "Oh, it's going to crash through that support," and
Bounced.
it bounced hard, and then it came back up through the close, and I sent scrambling to cover my short. Never tried a long, but boy, that 1620 level was huge.
Yeah.
Just alert traders, our overnight high matches yesterday's high at 1639.
Yeah, sometimes when they come down to support the first time, you'll see it bounce more often than not. When they come down there the second time, it sometimes bounces. They come down there the third time, it usually always takes it out. They always say there's no such thing as a triple bottom. But we have bounced back here nicely with the overall market at the 1638. I kind of feel wishy-washy here. I'm not sure which way we're going. Like often I have a pretty good feel for the market. Today I feel almost it could come back a little bit, but like we could get a little bit of a rally here today. I don't know if we're out of the woods, but wouldn't surprise me if we did get a little bit of a rally. And so obviously some other people think that the market might be rallying too because gold is selling off. So they're despite getting a little bit of a rally there a couple days ago, gold selling off here this morning down about $13.
Yeah, look at the last 4 days of ranges here. Lower 1380s, finding support and not being able to get above the 1420 level. I think maybe a strangling order here, or just buy the puts because this thing just seems like every rally it's had over the last couple of days has failed. But if we get above 1420 and close above 1420. I would change my opinion.
Let's go to the miners here just for a second, Joel, since we're talking about
Okay.
gold. And the miners, Barrick Gold, they're all pretty weak here this morning. They obviously have been in rally mode here, but they are giving some of that back here this morning. Barrick is down 50 cents here in the pre-market, which is ABX. Gold Corp, which is double G, is down about 40 cents. You've got Newmont, which is NEM, down 40 cents. So miners here looking pretty weak here this morning. Usually you see gold fall $10. They don't fall quite this far, but they are definitely weak this morning.
I mean, just all the resistance levels have been holding up pretty well. That you've had three tops right here in the 2160 quadrant here for ABX. You're falling back now. Have a gap to fill down to the 1986 level. That's still a buck away from here. Looking at Newmont Mining, looking at this stock trading down 46 cents in the pre-market here at 34.42. Have a double bottom to look at there at 33.63 and 67. But I mean, what's going to be the impetus for a major gold rally, Dennis? I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
only if you start getting fear in the market again, that's when it really starts to take off. And we were seeing that a couple days ago, but obviously yesterday with yesterday afternoon's rally, that fear is starting to leave a little bit here now, and I think that's why you're seeing some weakness in gold here, and possibly some profit taking in some of these miners, which have had a pretty good 3-4 day move. You're looking at a chart of crude here. It's kind of just hanging out, but man, this 93, 94 level been interesting here, Joel.
Well, you've since hitting that 96, you've had one, two, three, four, five lower highs and five lower lows. The closes have been kind of mixed here, but just getting a consolidation pattern here until you can break back above the 94 level. I see crude kind of in the reverse mode here. Major support at yesterday's low at 91.26.
Do see some of the oil stocks trading down here last night and in the pre-market here. Halliburton is ticking down about 20 cents here, HAL. Schlumberger was trading down and is offered down this morning at 72.98, down 30 cents. ConocoPhillips is offered just down a few cents, so it looks like they might sell some of these oil stocks. I know Chevron, the big gun there, is just offered flat at 124.09, so maybe you'll see a little bit of weakness in some of the oils.
Just a quick note on the big, Exxon Mobil and Chevron Corporation.
Yep.
They closed both right near their highs. So let's let's keep an eye on the previous day's highs and close right at the same level. So that gives you 91.46, 91.51, good resistance here in Exxon Mobil. Chevron Corporation also closed up near its high, so have some good levels to look at, and probably might be a key to whether or not the S&P can get back above 1640.
General Motors closed strong, and then after the bell announces that it is going to be replacing Heinz in the S&P 500. GM flying off of that news, up almost a stick on it. Actually, believe it or not, this thing traded over 36 bucks initially on that report that they were replacing Heinz in the S&P 500. It's trading up about 90 cents right now at 35.33.
36.10 was a high in the pre-market here. We've come back and really have found some nice support just in the last half hour at the 35.20 level. So let's keep an eye on that. What's interesting, about GM here is remember the IPO a long time ago, right around the $34 level.
Yep.
Actually, on its IPO day, I believe it opened at 35, traded up to 35.99. And then it just, had a really rough time. I remember Warren getting interested around here at 2021. I think I wrote a blog about that, kind of saying how the Warren bandwagon, well, this one you should have been on. But now you're cutting through that original IPO price, and by quite a bit. Also, the government is out of that stock now, so it's not as much pressure on that. This is a big move today. I don't know if I'd be chasing this one, being up a whole dollar, but above the 35.20 level here, I think still, as long as it can hold there, it might have a chance to run up to the 36.
Ford, I don't know if it's going to get as much of a sympathy move. It is trading up in the pre-market, up about 11 cents here. It's the big $16, but this is obviously news specific to GM when GM is going into the index, so nothing, about sales or anything like that. Like often you'll see the sympathy move if it's something to do with, the company's fundamentals. This just has to do with the actual stock, so I don't know if you'll see as much of a sympathy move in Ford, but Ford is trading up about 10 cents here this morning.
Just three highs, 1602 to 1608. So someone's taking a good hard look at the $16 level here as perhaps an exit point on a long or a potential short. Looking at the longer term chart, weekly doesn't do anything, and monthly here, we did stall previously at 1618 back in April of 2011. So let's see if Ford can get above 16, have a couple closes at that level.
It's been a few days since we talked about Tesla, since we're talking about all these automotive companies. Let's talk about Tesla here. Obviously, when it took out and went above the $100 area, it stayed up there for a few days, broke down through it, and then obviously had a really bad day yesterday, breaking down through it again, making a lower 88.25 before getting a little bit of a relief rally towards the end of the day at 92.59.
The only thing I can say about this chart is that 3 out of the 4 down days in the stock, pretty big, down days too. As far as the ranges go, as opposed to this area where you had 4 down days in a row, but they just were real tight ranges, and then it busted out again to the upside. Looking at yesterday's low at 88 and a quarter. I mean, if you're still trying to hold on to this long term, you're $5 away from it. But I think below 88 and a quarter here, just that 80 handle just doesn't look healthy to me. I mean, there's definitely points that it could stop at, but if you're trying to hold on in the Tesla, keep an eye on 88 and a quarter.
Dollar General reported earnings here this morning. Not a lot of earnings, and we're kind of out of earnings season, but DG did report. They made 71 cents against analyst estimates of 71 cents. A little light on the revenue, 4.23 billion versus estimates of 4.24 billion. Same store sales growth, they're seeing it up at 4 to 5%. So, and the guidance itself wasn't fantastic here, and that actually is putting the stock under pressure this morning. It's down over $3, trading at 50.20 right now, after closing at 53.55 on 142,000 shares. So big volume here too. It looks like they're pushing it to that 50, Joel.
Right, and it's just since the news came out, it's just kind of flopped. It's not really had any kind of bounce here. Just keeping making new lows in the so far in the trading session. Let's take a look at the daily here. Boy, $50. There really wasn't any significant levels right at
A little
50.
below it.
Yeah, you did have a low at 50.17, I guess, on April 17th, but you had a host of lows. Between the 49.55 level and the 49.75 level. So maybe wait there. If not if you're trying to buy at the 50 level, you might take some heat down to there. Also, you get these kind of things even if it blows to those 49.50 level real hard. A lot of times. It's a little safer to catch along, maybe on the way back up, kind of
Yeah,
like on a buy stop, because at
yeah.
least you're catching it, with momentum. Where you're just sticking a bit out here at 50, you're kind of just taking a stab in the dark.
And once they get rolling one direction, sometimes they roll that way for a bit. So I think you're right. I think that's the best way to play it. Is if if it takes a level, once it starts moving back up through that key level again, maybe that's your opportunity. But I wouldn't be surprised if we did test that 49.55 today, though. Couple other stocks that are trading down. Dollar Tree DLTR is trading down 40 cents in sympathy. You've got FDO also trading, or at least offered down 50 cents. No trades yet on FDO, but it's offered down 50 cents at 61. So it looks like some of these other dollar stores might be weak off these Dollar General earnings.
Looking at the FDO, do have a triple bottom to contend with here at the 60-60 level. That's still a buck away from here, but keep an eye on that if it continues in the retreat mode.
eBay gets upgraded here this morning at Compass Point.
eBay.
Yeah, a little upgrade for eBay. Big reversal day for it yesterday too. Everything seemed to reverse yesterday. It's trading up 50 cents more this morning on this upgrade at 53.95. This is an interesting chart here, Joel. What do you take on this
Yeah,
one?
the old accordion formation here. I mean, you're getting a bust through the 53.89 high. You're trading a little bit above that in the pre-market. 54 is traded just over 54, but let's just remind our traders, what was it, a few days ago, Facebook got that upgrade by Jeffries. Had this gap up day, this nice day, tried to follow through the following day, but just hit the $25 level and just died. And I think who was the firm that upgraded eBay? I don't.
There was a couple that day. Well, Jeffries was
Couple of
one.
them. Okay.
Jeffries was one, but then I think it was the BMO one too. BMO Capital was upgrading, raising their target that day too. So that pushed it up to that $25 area that we had talked about. But
You're fighting against the trend here, at least the short-term trend. Trying to buy off this upgrade, in my opinion.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So moving on here, Joel. Wall Street Journal's got some news on Obama going after patents. Jake, are you there? Jake is
Yeah,
available.
absolutely.
What is that news that
Um,
the Wall Street Journal was reporting?
so the headline was Obama plans to take action against patent holding firms. The story was out this morning at 12:10 a.m. Basically, Obama promised in his inaugural speech that he would go after these firms known as patent trolls, essentially companies that acquire bundles of patents and then sue other companies that are actually using
Ah,
technologies that they say infringe on those patents. Now, he says this is anti-productive because these companies that own these bundles of patents rarely actually produce a product. They literally just go out and acquire companies that own these patents, shut the company down, own the patent, and then just sue everybody around them to create a source of income. So either they force them to pay, a certain amount in like a monthly like fee to use the patent, or they just totally shut the company down.
it's an
So
interesting business
uh,
model.
yeah, and so it's definitely kind of. I mean, these companies would say that they're not being anti-competitive, that they have the rights to these patents. So there's definitely two sides to it. but some of the companies that are kind of known for this are Vringo, that's VRNG, uh,
BRNG.
yeah, Vernetics, VHC, and Rhombus, RMDS. None of them have moved in the pre-market yet, so I guess traders aren't getting too afraid about this possible ruling. But looks like Obama's going to be putting out a couple executive orders going out to Congress to urge legislation, some out to the Federal Trade Commission, and some to the U.S.
Hmm.
Patent and Trademark Office. So it should be interesting once we get some more color on exactly what he's planning on doing. But he is looks like he is following up on his promise from the inaugural speech there.
Yeah, they
And
seem.
Jake, when we were, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jake, we were discussing this morning, just as far as the whole Google Motorola thing, and as far as what they did, as far as to get away from the patent infringement kind of thing, is I mean, there's been weakness in Google as of late. I mean, you think a big company like that, who has been known to go after patents instead of dealing with the lawsuits, you think they'll have any effect on Google?
It's definitely possible that as large techs like Facebook, Google, and Apple will be affected. These companies are constantly hoarding patents to essentially defend themselves from each other. That's
Right.
one of the major reasons that Google bought Motorola was for its portfolio of patents to defend itself in iPhone litigation cases. Essentially, when Apple would be suing Google saying that they infringed their patents, they can use the smartphone patents that they got from Motorola to defend themselves, essentially. So it's very possible that these companies could be helped by this because they have huge budgets for this litigation. So
Hmm.
keep an eye on those big tech names today.
Oh, it's interesting. What do you think of this Google chart? Since we just mentioned it, we did have a big reversal day yesterday in Google. Just getting away from the fundamental talk there for a second. 867.63 is where it closed. It's up 36 cents, just like everything else. Though everything opened weak, went weaker, and then really closed strong. Do you think Google can follow through on some of that strength here today?
Just my quick opinion on this one is take out yesterday's high, 873.97, and then he had three highs between 877 and 879. So someone may be targeting that whole 880 area. I'd be a little bit hesitant, to try picking a bottom here on this thing until I'd rather buy it on strength over 880. If you are trying to pick a bottom here, you do have maybe one of your V lows, Dennis, here at the 855 level, so you could use that as a reference point if you're trying to pick a bottom.
That's interesting. Well, anyways, thanks, Jake, for that information on the patents. Obviously, if you trade any of those stocks, be aware of that stuff. Moving on here, Joel, we just started talking about a couple of the other S&P stocks. There was a couple interesting charts here. Looking at General Electric here. Wow, that had basically the identical range 2 days in a row. Not very often, and a big range to boot on GE.
Right, and look at that, man. You have three tops between, well, actually four of the last five trading sessions between 23.76 and 23.83. So that's just a huge level here. If you're shorting it up in the 70s here, you have definitely a low risk stop out area. Above there, you did blow over 24 that one day at 24.13, but GE, let's go taking back at this area. Made several lows in the same area. They held, and then they're going back up here. So could be looking at just based on the chart pattern here, a short-term top here in GE.
I think there's institutions lining up there at the $24 area, and even looking at the book, I can see over 350,000 sitting at 24. So they're all kind of licking their chops, saying, "Oh, I got over the 24 once. If it comes back to that area, I'm going to get out." So you know what the high freaks do? They find those levels to lean on, and it would not surprise me if this thing, despite the resistance being at 23.80, if it starts to even get over that a little bit, don't think it's going to start flying up here again. I think you're going to find more resistance in the 23.90s. What about Microsoft here, Joel? Is it a
Oh, don't talk about Microsoft.
That stock just keeps on marching, despite the weakness in the overall market. That made a new 52-week high yesterday and closed
52
almost
week high, man. That's like
multi-year high.
yeah. With my identifying weakness in the market yesterday after the open, I also identified this area as a great area to be shorting Microsoft, and
Uh-oh.
I did. I got a
Oh.
little bit of love off it. I thought for sure it was going to cream back down to the $35 level when the SPOOs were going to tank through 1620. So I was double wrong there. So when it came back up through there, I had the wherewithal to get out, but unfortunately didn't turn things around. You can't see it on the monthly, but on our the levels on our that I put out daily. 35.98, I believe, was a high back in January of 2008. So at this point, unless it flops right back down after the breakout, seems to be destined for that $36 level.
I think they can press it there today too. It was a big reversal, a nice little breakout. I'm not a believer. We always say breakout or fake out. I know you were saying that to me before we started the show here this morning. I think it is a breakout. I mean, the relative strength in this thing has been pretty much just awesome all for the last month and a half since we started getting up above the $29 area. In a month and a half, we've had a hell of a run, and it's just continuing here for Microsoft. And despite the overall market showing weakness, Microsoft shows no weakness at all. So if you like relative strength, Microsoft still looking
It's
good.
also gone nowhere during this whole rally. It's kind of playing catch up. I mean, from the whole, if you want to put a long term perspective on things, I mean, the whole financial crisis thing.
Oh
I
yeah, if
mean,
you're
it
looking the last
has
five
rallied, but
years,
yeah, you're like
but
still buying it at the bottom here if you think it's going to $55.
well, yeah. What was the high back like before the financial crisis? Well, even though if you go back in like 2000, the tech bubble, that got up to like 60 or something like that. So if you go back 13 years ago, Microsoft was obviously a hell of a lot higher than it is now. But I think, they just, there's interest. Obviously, we've been talking about it, how last year's laggards are this year's leaders, and Microsoft just fits that bill. I mean, Microsoft has been a laggard for years and years and years, and they are finding companies like that, and they are buying them. And I don't know when that trend reverses, but right now the trend is your friend there, and if you've been long Microsoft in the last month, you're pretty happy.
Right, yeah. I mean, you are. I mean, and if it comes back down to that 35 and a quarter level, you got to, expect that to be support since so many people sold there, including me.
Overall market thoughts here as we continue to rally. We started the show, we were flat. We are now up 4 points, 1640. We're right on that spot where we made the bet. You want out, Joel? Do you want out of the bet now? I still got 1680. You still got 1600. I've been close to the money. You've been close to the money. I should say to the liquid. Um,
And it's 1640 on the nose,
on the
huh?
nose. I'll let you out right now if you want out.
Okay, I'm out.
Oh, I'm
I'm
out.
out.
We canceled the
I'm gonna
bet. Oh my goodness.
scratch a trade.
We're
It's
scratching
like
the
kissing
trade.
your
We're both
sister. It's
scratching.
nice, but it doesn't
We
mean
just pay
anything.
commission,
So,
so
yeah, that makes the broker happy, right?
makes the
That's what we
broker.
sort of do. All right, Dennis, we're getting some questions here from the Thinkers from chat room that I try to like to get to. So we'll end the regular broadcast, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.